My Lords, I rise with great pleasure to take part in this rich and terribly important debate, having attached my name to Amendments 469 and 470, which I'll note are also signed by the Bishop of Gloucester and the Noble Lady Baroness Walmsley. There's broad cross-party support there already, and we've heard from around the House, from all corners of the House, much more support for these. It's a pleasure to follow the Noble Earl Russell, even though he preempted... Lord. Okay. Oh, well, there you are. Promotions are good. Pleasure to follow the Noble Lord Russell, even though he preempted one of my lines, which is imagine having on the front of every bill a statement that says this complies with the UN Convention on Human Rights. What a step forward that would be. But I want to go back to the comments made by the Noble Lady Baroness Butler-Sloss, Noble Learned Lady, about listening to children, and indeed this was where the Noble Lady Baroness Blower started us, nothing about us without us. And the Noble Lady made reference to how important it is to listen to children. And I really want to pull out the fact that the Noble Lady said children have really good ideas, children have really clear sight. Now, I think it's really important that we follow Article 12 of the UN Convention and ensure that we do follow the right to children to be listened to be taken seriously. And that's crucial for children's mental health and well-being. The sense of agency is really important, and a lack of that sense of agency, I think, is one of the problems across the whole of our society, but particularly for our children. But turning that round to the other side, children have really good ideas, and we are facing a polycrisis. We are exceeding our planetary boundaries, we are damaging our health with the state of our world. Children have ideas with very clear sight of how to tackle those, fresh ideas, that we would all benefit from those being listened to. Now, coming particularly onto the specifics of a rights impact assessment of 469, I'm going to take us back to 2010, and I declare an interest here that I was on the board of the Fawcett Society, but back in 2010, the Fawcett Society took a judicial review over the lack of a gender impact assessment on the budget of that year. Now, in the classic way of these cases, the Fawcett Society lost the judicial review, but it won from the government an acknowledgement that there should have been a gender impact assessment on various aspects of the budget. So creating this right is something that forces governments to think harder to do the proper impact assessments that the Noble Lord Russell was referring to, and this has real impacts. It's not a panacea. It's not suddenly going to fix everything if we put this into the bill, but it's an important step in ensuring that questions are asked, questions are carefully examined, not just brushed aside. Now, we've already heard from one former Children's Commissioner, but I will note just in the last few days that our current Children's Commissioner, Dame Rachel de Souza, carried out a national census of school leaders and found that schools are being left to plug more and more gaps, that children are not having the rights to the services that they should have, and schools are trying to fill in the gaps. Now, I refer to that because I suspect there might be quite a few people out there listening to our debate who think, well, you know, Britain's a good, developed, possibly successful country. We must be meeting all of our obligations under the Convention on Children's Rights. But of course we are not, demonstrably. And I'll also point to the fact that our very respected Joint Committee on Human Rights, chaired by the Noble Lord Alton, not currently in his place, is just now starting an inquiry into the human rights of children in the social care system in England, opening the inquiry because they identify there's a problem. And I'll cross-reference back to our recent debates on the mental health bill, an attempt to deal with the needs of some of the most vulnerable people in our society. And we've improved the law there, but there was a broad agreement that we haven't got the resources to actually deliver the improvement in the law. Ensuring that we are signed up to this convention is really absolutely crucial. And I'm also just going to briefly cross-reference an earlier amendment of mine, which was calling for a play sufficiency duty for local authorities. Now, one of the perhaps less noted elements of the UN Convention is Article 31.1, which says that state parties recognise the rights of the child to rest and leisure, to engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to the age of the child, and to participate freely in cultural life and the arts. Now, I'm just going to again cross-reference a academic article in the Human Rights Law Review, June 2025, by Naomi Lott, setting out how we could actually deliver on that, and that's taking a global perspective, but it's still highly relevant to the UK. Now, I'm going to come to my final point, which is actually a very large one. Taking a global perspective and thinking about where the world is today, and this is particularly relevant today in the light of a certain state visit now ongoing. As the Noble Lord Banner says, signing up to the UN Convention was something done by the Thatcher government. This is something that has been a principle of respecting human rights and the rule of law, is something that has been embedded in British society over decades. But if we look on a global scale, human rights and the rule of law are under threat like never before. And some of what have previously been leading countries defending, to at least a degree, human rights, are now stepping out and expressing opposition to them. We often heard from the previous government, and we hear from the current government, a desire to be world-leading. Well, Wales and Scotland have been world-leading here. It's time for England and Westminster to step up to the plate. And this matters terribly for practical reasons of human rights and the rule of law and impact assessments and all of those things within the UK. But it also matters on a global scale. If we are going to say and be leaders, human rights and the rule of the law apply to all citizens. And I think it was Lord Meston referred to the right of a child's identity. As he was speaking, I was thinking of the Ukrainian children kidnapped into Russia being denied their identity. Standing up for this, we can't stand up for this unless we stand up for ourselves on our own soil. So this is a globally important debate, as well as a crucial one for the children of England.